The Aptify viewing system is two things. It's the intuitive, user-friendly native reporting application within Aptify. Furthermore, it is the foundation of all bulk operations in the database, such as membership and subscription renewals, invoices, and small balance write-offs. This short video will review the different types of views, how views can be used to build productive dashboards, the actionable nature of Aptify views, and finally how to create a couple of views. When a user logs in, a dashboard is delivered that is designed to make them instantly productive. Generally, these dashboards are comprised of Aptify views. And in this example that you're looking at, I've got one list view as well as two chart views. The list view is in fact actionable from here. I have the ability to export this list to Excel, run a report on it, such as a roster, badges, anything of the sort. I also have the ability to add this group to a campaign, or create orders for this entire group. Furthermore, if I wanted to access any of the records from this view, all I have to do is just double click and I've pulled up the record. The chart views, while visually helpful, also have the ability to drill down. So for example, I can see in my member counts, I've got my professional members. If I want to see the list that's comprising that particular line, all I have to do is click on it and I get the drill down information. And from here, I can export that list of professional members directly from my dashboard. Similarly, with the chart view, in this case, a sales summary, if I wanted to see what was comprising this percentage of meeting registrations, for example, all I would have to do is click on that segment of my view and I get the list of orders that are comprising that particular number. As I mentioned earlier, views are actionable. The most common type of view is going to be your list view. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my favorites, and this is where you can store your most commonly accessed views, your list that you work with on a day-to-day basis, monthly, daily, weekly. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my list view of professional members. And from here, I'm going to show you from here, I can export this list to Excel. If I want to create a standard report, I can go pull up my report wizard, and from here I can highlight, for example, if I wanted to generate a roster. If I want to generate labels, I can do that from here as well. In addition to my standard reports, I also have the ability to add this group to a particular list. Maybe I'm using a third-party email marketing. I can take that list and transfer it over there. I could merge a couple of records. If I see a couple that are maybe a duplicate, I can merge records from here. I can copy a view. By copying a view, I can take a view that's been created and maybe I want to add a couple more filters to it, but I don't want to recreate the wheel. That's where copying a view will come into play. I can do bulk operations. So for example, if I click on this, you'll see different bulk operations that are available depending on the wizard you're looking at. But you can decide what you want to do and then continue on with your list. Furthermore, a couple of other options I'll just go ahead and point out. I can add a group of people to a particular committee, to a campaign I've already created, as well as create an order for particular products. Perhaps I want to take this view and register a bunch of people for a particular meeting. I can do that from the view as well. Now that you've seen that views can generate dashboards and that they are actionable, let's take a look at how easy it is to create a new view. So in this case, I'm going to create a list view, and that list view is going to be professional members from the Midwest. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to access persons, go to more actions, and click create view. From here, it's really quite intuitive. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a title. Once I've given it a title, you can see that my view type by default is list, but you can also see the other types where I've got chart views, calendar views, map views, as well as pivot grids. Now that I've given it a title, the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some filters for this particular report. I'm going to go to filters, and the first thing I want to do is I want to filter on the type of member. So all I have to do is type in what field that I want. So I'm going to select member type, and I'm going to go ahead and say contains, but you can see I've got additional operators here, but contains tends to help because that I don't have to type out the full term. So I'm going to go ahead and type in professional. Now I'm going to add a second filter. Since this is just from the Midwest, all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the plus button. By default, my operators are and, but I can always change that to or, and I'll show you that in a moment. But my second filter is going to be based on state. Once I've selected that second filter, in this case, I'm going to select my operator of enlist and start putting in the states that I want to include from the Midwest. Perfect. So I've got my two filters. As I said earlier, they are and by default. And I'm going to go ahead and just show you if I wanted it to be or, all I'd have to do is click here and change that. However, I'm going to maintain. There are tons of other filters I can do. I can do subqueries. I could use filters on prompts. So for example, if I wanted this just to be a view on professional members from specific states, I could use that. I could put a prompt in, and every time I run it, I fill in my states to make it a bit more flexible. So there are a lot of options. Once I've done my filters, I can then go and determine what fields I want to include in my result set. So if I go to fields, you'll notice I get some default fields that are included in there. But if I also want to include an additional field, all I have to do is drag and drop. And I can move these up and down depending on the order that I want them to appear in the result set. I also have the ability to group. So for example, if I wanted to group by state, I can do that as well. So there are quite a few options, and I can also give that a caption as well. If I want to sort in a particular manner, if I wanted to sort, for example, by state, I can go into sort, type in state, and by default it's ascending, but I can always just click here and make it go to descending. Very, very simple to do so. Once I'm done with that report, all I have to do is click OK. And you can see I've got this now sorted with my result set, and I'm good to go. The next type of view I'm going to show you how to create is a chart view, because these are quite frequent if you wanted to use them in a presentation. A lot of people like a more visual look at their data. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'll create a chart view of my professional members in the Midwest. So now that I've given it a title, the next step I need to do is change this into a chart view. Once I do that, you can see that I have a variety of the types of charts that I can create: stacked, pie, bar charts, etc. In this case, I'll just do a simple pie chart. So once I've selected the type of chart I want, then I want to give that chart some characteristics. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to determine my grouping. My grouping is going to be by state. So I'm going to go ahead and select state. Once I've done that, then I want to choose my summary. And I'm actually going to want a count. So now I've determined how I want to group that data. Now, next, all I have to do is go in and fill in my filters. So I'm going to go in and put in my member type. And it's going to contain professional. The next thing I'm going to do is my next filter, and this is going to be my states. And I'm going to go ahead and select state and my operator of enlist, and then I can go ahead and select my states. Once I've got my states selected, maybe I'll add Ohio as well. Why not? Once I've got those states, I can go ahead and click OK, and I have my chart view. Again, very intuitive, very easy. The Aptify viewing system puts reporting back in the hands of the every user at your organization.